Yeah.
But that's a pretty warm take. And before we jump into halftime hot takes, thank you so much for everyone who's been watching us. And yet again, we're live on Twitch. We got YouTube, podcast. Go check out Daniel's content at Daniel Mogg on YouTube and everything else. So Daniel, how cold is it right now in Seattle?
So today actually was not that cold. I'm in downtown. I put a jacket on and I walked up the hill and I was sweating really bad. So it's a little bit warmer here today, but I would say probably the past week though has been it's been pretty cold, and it's been gray and raining, so I could definitely use some halftime hot takes to warm me up here.
Oh yeah. So the world knew that you were going to be giving some halftime hot takes, and Seattle got warmer because of it.
Maybe,
So
maybe.
so we're gonna do some, we're gonna kind of go one. We got a couple questions here,
Okay.
and we're gonna chat, and you're gonna share with all of your seemingly infinite NFL city and stadium wisdom, and
Oh
I'm gonna
gosh,
chime in because I've been to like 3 NFL stadiums, and we're just gonna roll.
that's a shame. We
I
gotta
know.
up that number.
Woof, that is very true. That is very true. But so welcome to halftime hot takes. Here we go. So, Daniel, what is the most underrated NFL city that you've been to?
Underrated. Okay, hear me out. You spent some time in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an NFL fan, if you're a football fan, you got to go do the Lambeau experience at some point in your life. No matter if you're a Packer fan, it's crazy. There's nothing else in the NFL like it. Now there's definitely other bigger, sexier cities, fun things to do. But Lambeau, just Green Bay, it's not a travel destination. Let's just say that.
A lot of bars, a lot of beer, but around Lambeau,
Cheese
that
curds,
is
a lot of cheese curds.
a lot. Ooh, the squeakier the better. That's for sure. I'd say the
Yes.
most underrated NFL stadium that I've been to was Washington. I have been to FedEx Field about a decade ago, and
Yeah.
it didn't feel special, right? I had seen Joe Gibbs. I played offensive line. I was very familiar with the Hogs. It just I don't know. It didn't really hit me probably the right way in the way that it should have. So that was most. Um, but I kind of shared the most overrated NFL stadium. My bad. I misread the notes. Trying to do too much here. I would say I would say that the most underrated NFL stadium that I've ever been to was. I think that there is something ever so magical, and this is going to be kind of right along the line with Lambeau. Something ever so magical when the Bears are good and Soldier Field is going. It can be
Yeah.
3 degrees outside, and that place is going nuts. And
Yeah.
um, there's no turf. It's gonna be a lot of defense. I mean, December 32.5 degree. Like Soldier Field is one of those places that could take the worst weather game and make it fantastic.
Yeah. No, I agree. I did my first game there, Monday night game. Seahawks got rocked pretty good, and that place was just so lit. And I could not believe, as you said, the ground was very hard. I would not have want to get tackled. Oh no.
There
Oh,
we go.
there we
We
go.
got
We're
it. All
back.
right. So that's most underrated NFL stadium. Let's talk about the most overrated NFL city that you've ever been in.
Overrated NFL city. Man. It's a little tough. It's a little tough for me because I'm still a little salty about the Super Bowl, but I gotta go with just that the Patriots, Boston, that whole just kind of area.
Mm-hmm.
I do love Boston. I think it's a great town, but
But Foxborough.
Foxborough itself, I mean, the hike down there is rough, and the parking lot out of there, forget it. Like Because if you're an away team and you go watch your team and then you lose and you have to sit in the parking lot for like a solid 2 hours after the game and you're probably wet and cold as we saw this past weekend, it's not fun.
There you go. Most overrated NFL city, Foxborough. I'm going to say the most overrated NFL city is whatever city that big monstrosity in Dallas, Texas, the Dallas Metroplex area is in. Same idea. There's not much out there outside of Jerry World. I think one of the, obviously there's tailgating and things like that with NFL. I, being a little more of a sophisticated soccer fan,
Hmm.
I really like the idea of, you know, being right smack dab in the middle of so much within the city. So
Yeah, yeah,
really any place where the stadium just kind of far out there in the middle of nowhere feeling, as opposed to really close into the city where you can feel the energy of that big city. I'm not a big fan of.
you're good.
So next up, most underrated fan base.
Underrated fan base. Okay. Um, the sorry, I'm getting a phone call here. So I would say that, and hear me out on this. This is just in my experience. I'm not saying this. This is just my opinion. And so Oakland Raider fans have been nothing but amazing to me. So I'm sure there's a lot of like polls, whatnot out there that says they're overrated, but uh they have been just fantastic.
Raider fans, Oakland or Las
But
Vegas
you're a
fans.
Raider fan, aren't you?
You know, if I were to be unbiased in my perspective, I do pull for the Raiders. So, and I feel like I've been pretty good to you.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, like, I guess maybe because like they know if when the times I've worked with them, I'm putting them on TV, so they're nice to me. But I would go back to the cities; they would remember me. They were great.
There you go. There you go. I would say that the most underrated fan base, and I'm going to stay in the AFC West, and
Okay.
I think that it's because they get overshadowed by a lot of other fan bases, and I'm going to specify here the San Diego contingent of those Charger fans have been were so stinking loyal, and
Yep.
their team got uprooted and they didn't follow.
No.
So you got to give loyalty an absolute A plus in
Yep.
terms of in terms of that. And if they would have worked the stadium deal out, the Chargers wouldn't be the however many professional teams plus USC is in LA, right? The Chargers are probably the lowest on that totem pole list. So
Yep.
um,
Yep.
I'm going to go with the San Diego contingent of Chargers fans being the most underrated fan base in the NFL. They will be the Seattle Supersonics fans of the NFL.
That's tough. That's a
Tough,
sore
tough.
subject around here.
So finally, last question: most underrated NFL city with a great steakhouse.
Well, this one's a little bit of a softball for me, as I'll be returning back to Tampa this weekend, with one of the most famous steakhouse, Burns Steakhouse, which I know is someplace you enjoy. So I would say Tampa.
Burns, you never think about it. And when I send people to Burns, I say it's the most nondescript white building you ever been to.
Very
Um,
unassuming.
I'm sure Tom Brady already knows the wait staff there by name. That's got to be where he goes after all his games, all his home games. And yeah, Burns is great. Burns, if you want to sponsor this show, yet again, we're looking for
Yeah,
sponsors. We're open and available.
we can drink Burns wine and talk sports. That sounds pretty friendly.
Wine and sports. Yes. Great. So thank you so much, Daniel, for your halftime hot takes. Brought to you by Connor and Daniel here at Friend Stream Sports.
Brought to
So
you by Burns Steakhouse.
hopefully one day it will be brought to us by Burns Steakhouse. So